The official report says she was a terrorist. It says 37-year-old Renee Good used her Honda Pilot as a weapon to ram a federal agent. It says the agent had no choice but to fire to protect their life. But physics doesn't lie, and neither does a private autopsy. If you are driving at someone to run them down, the bullets enter through the windshield from the front. But Renee Good wasn't shot from the front. The fatal round entered her left temple, traveling laterally from the side. She wasn't attacking, she was driving past them. Today, we are tearing down the wall of silence around Operation Metro Surge. We're looking at the 3 bullets, the blocked 911 calls, and the death of a VA nurse that proves this wasn't an accident. It was a doctrine of brutality. Since December 2025, the Twin Cities haven't just been policed, they've been occupied. We're talking about 3,000 federal agents dropped into the city. 2,000 are from Immigration and Customs Enforcement. 1,000 are from Customs and Border Protection. They are masked, operating in unmarked vehicles, and they outnumber the actual local police departments of Minneapolis and St. Paul combined. The State Attorney General Keith Ellison called it a federal invasion. But when the shooting started, it turned into something much darker. A total information blackout designed to shield agents from state laws. Let's look at the timeline of Renee Good's death, because the details are terrifying and show a complete lack of human dignity. On January 7th, 2026, at 9:35 a.m., Renee was bleeding out in her car. A licensed physician was on the scene, ready to help her. Federal agents physically blocked them from providing emergency care. They waited 3 minutes before even calling 911. They waited 10 minutes before starting CPR. She had a pulse, yet they let it fade away while standing over her. Usually, police take statements to find the truth. Here, witnesses were rounded up, taken to the Whipple Federal Building, and held in custody so they couldn't talk to the media or state police. When Minnesota state investigators from the Bureau of Criminal Apprehension arrived with valid search warrants signed by a judge, the feds laughed in their faces. The vehicle, critical evidence showing bullet trajectories, was seized and remained in federal custody for weeks. The bodycam footage was classified. The agent's testimony was protected by executive privilege. It took weeks of private legal fighting by the firm Romanucci and Blandin just to get access to the vehicle. Once they did, the self-defense narrative fell apart immediately. Forensic evidence showed 3 bullet wounds, one through her left forearm, another through her right breast, and the fatal shot in the temple. Not from the front, but from the side as her car passed Agent Jonathan Ross. She was steering away from confrontation, not attacking. If you think Renee Good was a mistake, a fog of war incident, then you need to hear about Alex Pretti. 2 weeks later, on January 24, 2026, Alex, a 34-year-old nurse for the Veterans Affairs, was on foot filming the agents. He was doing what citizens should be allowed to do, witnessing the surge. Instead, he was tackled by 6 officers and pinned face down on the frozen pavement. Video analyzed by the New York Times shows he was motionless and controlled, and then 10 rounds into his back in 5 seconds. The federal statement called him a domestic terrorist gunman. The reality? Witnesses and video showed he was holding a cell phone, not a weapon. This is why over a dozen career prosecutors in the Department of Justice have resigned in the last few days. They know that this isn't law enforcement anymore. It's an institutional cover-up of constitutional violations. This has moved beyond a criminal case into a constitutional crisis. Minnesota is suing the federal government based on the 10th Amendment and equal sovereignty. Basically, the state is arguing, you cannot send an army into our state, kill our citizens, and then tell our police they aren't allowed to investigate the crimes. If this lawsuit fails, it establishes a terrifying precedent that a surge force has absolute immunity from state laws, that they can block medical care, seize evidence, and silence witnesses with zero accountability. The forensic techniques developed to analyze Good's shooting, trajectory reconstruction from partial data, and independent autopsy protocols will become the standard toolkit for investigating federal use of force when agencies refuse cooperation. State legislatures are drafting laws requiring federal cooperation with state investigations of shootings. Body camera standards are being rewritten to prevent these evidence suppression tactics. Every barrier they built has become a precedent that courts must now address. The mass resignation of career prosecutors created a permanent professional judgment that this operation crossed constitutional lines that cannot be defended. Renee Good and Alex Pretti will not come back. But the impossible difficulty of investigating their deaths, every roadblock, every immunity claim, every suppressed piece of evidence, created the blueprint for systemic change in federal accountability. Every future case will reference this crisis. Every future court will ask, did we learn from Minnesota? We must remember the human dignity of these victims. We must remember that behind every classified file was a person with a life, a family, and a right to be safe from those sworn to protect the law. The Trump administration's push for absolute immunity for ICE officers was a legal shield designed to prevent families from reaching discovery in civil lawsuits. But the evidence proves otherwise. Without these private autopsies and leaked videos, we would never have known the truth. If the state investigators were blocked from the crime scene, how many other cases didn't we hear about during this surge? We cannot allow brutality to be masked as security. The tragedy is that it required 2 deaths to force these questions. The only way to break a blackout is to keep the lights on.